Joining us now is the doctor I mentioned, internist and cardiologist from Dallas, Texas, Dr. Peter McCullough, and chairman of the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, Senator from Wisconsin, Ron Johnson. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. So glad to have you and speak more about this. Dr. McCullough, I read some of your resume there. And Senator Johnson, on top of being a senator, you've also been a very accomplished businessman and CEO. But Dr. McCullough, I want to start with you because it's interesting to me that they would attack you so aggressively. And what does it feel like to have the mainstream media and people on the left dismiss this medical findings that you have found?
Well, let me thank you for being on the show. And I'll state that my opinions are my own and not necessarily those of my institutions. But I think this reaction is actually welcome because it means we're on the right track. Throughout history, in the middle of crises, the answers have never been given down from big institutions, big government, or from any other types of ivory towers. Innovation has come from practicing doctors and creative doctors in research. In fact, we're on the right track. An early multi-drug home treatment for COVID-19 clearly works.
Yeah, and Senator Johnson, you're clearly presenting, these new different evidences and voices out there, and they're treating you like a cheap salesman.
Well, first of all, the hearing wasn't about hydroxychloroquine. The hearing was about early treatment. And as Dr. McCullough presented in our hearing, there's really four pillars in dealing with the pandemic. It's first of all trying to reduce the spread, flatten that curve, then early treatment, then hospital treatment, and finally vaccines. We've completely ignored the second pillar, which is early treatment. And unfortunately, thousands of people have died because we've ignored it. And I think that was the question we were asking why. And I wasn't, recommending, I'm not a doctor, any treatment, but obviously the president talked about hydroxychloroquine. I think that poisoned the well for all early treatments, but there's ivermectin. There's a host of things that we should have explored, we should be using. We should be letting doctors be doctors, and we should be celebrating their courage and their compassion rather than raking them over the coals, calling them names, and in some cases, in Queensland, Australia, actually putting them in jail. This is ridiculous.
Well, yeah, and big tech, by the way, anytime you talk about it, either shuts you down, demonetizes you, takes it out. It's funny. I think you're absolutely right, Senator. The thing that I find so fascinating, Doctor, is, when I go to my doctor, I sometimes will bring up, something that someone else has said. Hey, I know my friend has taken this before. I've heard this on the radio. And they'll say, well, in your particular case, you're not eligible for this because this, or you're not a good fit for it, right? The goal, as Senator Johnson said, is a doctor to talk to their patient about what's best for them. So what are some of these early treatments that might be worth discussing with a physician if you are diagnosed?
So, Sean, you're right. So medicine is both an art and a science. And whenever faced with a crisis, doctors actually do innovate and find the solution. And then later on, clinical trials come in and refine the approach. So what we know is that there are drugs that work to reduce the viral replication in cells. And they include hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin. Either one of those combined with doxycycline or zithromycin, they work to reduce viral replication. But that's just the first phase of it. We know that when COVID has pulmonary symptoms, that patients respond to steroids. A common steroid would be prednisone that we use in asthma anyway. And then the last part of COVID, which is probably the most important, is internal blood clotting or thrombosis. And we know there that blood thinners, oral blood thinners, as well as by injection and aspirin, all have been shown to have a marked favorable impact on COVID-19. So we actually need all three things: anti-infectives, steroids, and antithrombotics in order to manage COVID-19 at home. And when this is done, doctors, and this has been shown in America and outside the United States, can reduce hospitalizations by about 85% and drop mortality in half.
So, Senator Johnson, all you did was give a platform for medical experts to come in and explain that there are some things that can be done early on in this, and this is how you were treated. What did you? Even Senator Tom Carper expressed a lot of skepticism. I think you did the right thing, but it was amazing the way that the media and the left attacked you for just giving a platform for experts to talk about it.
Well, first of all, it goes to the territory. They can attack me all they want, but when they call snake oil salesmen, they're referring to people like Dr. McCullough and Dr. Risch. and Dr. Fareed that these are courageous people. Dr. Fareed has treated over 1,000 high-risk patients, exposed himself to COVID, and they're being raked through the coals. So this is just completely unacceptable. But the current NIH guidelines for COVID is do nothing. Send people home scared, afraid, give them no treatment whatsoever, explore no treatment. And if you get sick enough, go to the hospital. And nobody wants to go to the hospital. And potentially, if you die in the hospital, you'll never see your family again. That is not compassionate care. And there's a term that Dr. McCullough introduced me to, the circle of empathy. And we had a witness that the Democrats called Dr. Jha, totally outside the circle of empathy, because he admitted he never had treated a COVID patient, and he's raking these guys over the coals. He's the guy that, by the way, wrote that op-ed that referred to them as snake oil salesmen. They're not selling anything. They're trying to save lives.
Yeah.
Well, this is absurd what's happening.
I got to say this. I just want to say thank you both for at least bringing this information forward. Again, it should be made between a doctor and a patient. But folks in the media have no medical expertise and should not be judging this. And Senator Johnson, I want to thank you for giving a platform for people to at least discuss this, because you're right, at least knowing this. So I appreciate you both being here and sharing this with our audience. And I hope that you will give us an update at some point soon.
We're doing it again next week. It'll be
great.
part 2, because this was so mischaracterized. We're going to give it another shot.
All right. Well, we're out
We'll
of
be
time,
there.
but we'll have you back. So thanks so much.